one of the very few that are optimistic and, of course, hopeful that this Nigeria have a lot of promises that will be fulfilled. We believe that this country will continue to stand tall in the Committee of Nations, and very, very soon it will become the envy of other nations. When the good old days that other citizens of great countries were coming here to learn, study, and get treated in our hospitals. It will happen one step at a time, one day at a time, but it will require you and I to be change agents. It begins with you. All right, this morning we're looking at a very disturbing situation. I'm sure many of us have also noticed this increase in gruesome murder and killings. If it is not a son killing his mother, just like we had in Ogun State, it would be a father uh, raping his daughter, and which eventually leads to the death of such a daughter. Or sometimes it could be someone macheting another person just because they're fighting over 200 naira, or maybe sometimes over a cup of gari, or an agbero in Lagos beating someone to death because of 50 naira change, or the one that happened recently in Port Harcourt, where some people ordered 2 iPhones, and a Jumia delivery man came in to deliver such iPhones, and they took him in, stripped him naked, collected the iPhones, and killed him, butchered him, and dumped his body in a sock away. You begin to wonder what exactly is happening in the country. Why this thirst for blood? Why this senselessness in killing? You want to put that aside and also put on, take up the issues of increase in suicides. A lot of people have said that this is due to the economic recession in the country, but it goes beyond that if you look at it critically, because you find out that many of the reasons given for this suicide are sometimes psychological. For example, the doctor who committed suicide recently in Lagos, a friend recently came out to say that he has a psychological stress for some time, and it was because he was writing some medical exams and he was failing that particular exam. You see people owing debts, and then because they think they cannot pay up, they also decide to jump into the lagoon in Lagos. Some have the courage to go into the bush parts or into the forest, use ropes, and then end their lives just like that. Not forget the fact that even suicide is a criminal offense when it comes to the laws of the land. We're going to look at all these issues, the role of the security agency, especially the police, who are saddled with the responsibility to protect the citizenry, to avoid the loss of lives and property. We'll also be looking at the psychological angle, because many people will say that some of these killings, some of these suicide cases are psychiatric in nature when you look at the peculiarity of the cases. So we'll also be having a psychiatrist or a psychologist in the studio to look at all this issue. He's still on his way, but right now we'll try to link up with the zonal PPRO. Right now, he will be so as for him to tell us what exactly they are doing to increase their surveillance, to increase their intelligence gathering, and of course how they have gone, how far they've gone in actually investigating these cases and seeing them to a logical conclusion. We've got this short break, and we'll be back with Badmus, the zonal PPRO. All right, so we're still trying to get in touch with Dolapo Badmus, the zonal force PPRO, Zone 2 Command. It's still a bit difficult to re-establish contact with her. In the meantime, we have a neuropsychiatrist in the studio, a consultant psychiatrist actually, Dr. Femi Babalola from the Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Aro, Belgium. Dr. Babalola, you're welcome to the Daybreak Show. Welcome to Oxford FM.
Good morning, listeners.
All right, Dr. Babalola, earlier on the show, I was talking about this increase in gruesome murders, gruesome killings across the country. You find out that a son just wakes up in the morning and decides to snuff life out of his mother's body just because of maybe a pot of soup, or because of a plate of rice, or a father killing her daughter because he has been abusing and molesting the child, and then the child decides that it's enough of the abuses, and then decides to kill the daughter. What exactly forms or informs all these bizarre attitudes and actions of people?
Well, some of these actions are multifactorial in nature. I mean, so many factors can be said to be responsible for such. From my own perspective, I mean, we look more at factors that have to do with psychological issues that might be affecting such individuals. I mean, some of these incidents might be due to pre-existing mental health difficulties that the individuals probably have been coping with, and because they are not getting treatment on time, it leads to some other bizarre things like you mentioned, you know. And so from our own perspective, I mean, we will want to assess the person to find out the person's mental state at the time of committing those acts, or even times preceding those acts, to be able to see specifically what could be wrong with such individuals. And then, I mean, some individuals, like we know, may have issues that have to do with their personality. And if these issues are not addressed, could lead to bizarre situations like these ones that have been happening.
Now, lately too, you found out there's been increase in suicides. This used to be alien to people. In fact, it was a taboo. It's even still seen as a taboo in so many cultures, in so many areas in Nigeria. If you consider to, if you decide to commit suicide today, your family will be seen as in a very bad light. In some cases, they will even be ostracized. Now, what do you think will be responsible for this increase in suicide?
Well, two things. One, I mean, this increase might be due to the fact that we are getting increase in reporting. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, people view this as a taboo, and when things like that happen within the family circle, I mean, it's this culture of secrecy that you get. I mean, you get people not wanting to talk about it. The other thing, I mean, might just be what we find commonly, factors that are related to suicide that is becoming more and more available in this environment. For example, worldwide, I mean, the World Health Organization have estimated that one suicide is committed every 15 minutes, and you get about a million suicide worldwide. We're getting this now because we are beginning to see lots of reporting happening, and 75% of suicide committed worldwide is committed in low income settings like ours. And I mean, like we know, things like economic recession, unemployment, divorce, the level of poverty in the land are things that have been associated with suicide. Not to be forgotten also is the prevalence of psychiatric disorders. I mean, commonly depression among those that have committed suicide. In fact, it is estimated that 2 out of every 3 persons that commit suicide have some measure of depressive disorder at the point of committing those suicide. So we look at factors like psychological factors, factors like medical factors, social factors, I mean, where economic recession and the like falls into as causes of this suicide. And like I mentioned earlier, I mean, increase in reporting these incidents have also led to what we are saying now. And sometimes, you know, sensational reporting of suicide cases have led to what we call copycat suicide. For example, when the one about Dr. Orwell was reported, found out that within few days from that one, 2 other persons tried to commit suicide in the same fashion like Dr. Orwell did. You know, so I mean, media reportage sometimes could have a role to play in suicide.
Now, if you were to educate us, what would you say would be the signs to look out for when you talk about depression?
Well, I mean, depression, like we know, is a very common mental disorder. It is said that between 10 to 20% of people worldwide will suffer from depression at some point in their lives. And even studies that have been done in this environment shows that about 12% of old people, you know, have depression. And so depression is a major mental disorder that one needs to look out for in the etiology of suicide. I mean, talking about depression, what we say commonly is that the individual will have low mood, very low mood. I mean, you see someone previously that find it easy to do things before, suddenly we just have this undue sadness. You know, I mean, when we talk about sadness, some measure of sadness sometimes is necessary. Sometimes maybe when we go through downturns in our businesses and the rest, we may feel sad. I mean, when some things happen that do not make us happy, we may feel sad. But when you start getting low mood that is occurring every day for like 2 weeks, and then you are finding things like loss of interest in previously pleasurable activities, someone who enjoys sports, for example, and suddenly just lose interest, or someone who enjoy religious activities suddenly just lose interest in those activities. And then you find individuals having what we call loss of energy. You wake up in the morning, you don't have that drive to go to work or to go to places you enjoyed going before. Other things you might find is lack of sleep or difficulty in initiating sleep. What we find commonly in those that are depressed is what we call early morning awakening, in which the person will wake up 2 to 3 hours earlier than the usual waking time. And with that, you find the person brooding over his or her lots in life, maybe failures in life, maybe things he's tried to do that have not been successful with. And then we might have things like diminished appetites, things like weight loss, loss of interest even in sexual activities. You know, for a male and female, might just be loss of libido, might be menstrual irregularity in females. And then you have the individual might have what we call depressive cognition, in which the person feel worthless, that he or she doesn't even amount to anything, or what we call hopelessness, which I mean is about the common pathway that eventually lead to suicide. The person feels hopeless, sees the future as very pessimistic about the future, and the person feels helpless, nothing at all. You know, nobody can help such an individual. That's about the common pathway that some individuals take to committing suicide. So, I mean, those are some of the factors we'll see in individuals that will point our attention to the fact that these individuals might be having some depressive disorder.
Dr. Babalola, in your own honest analysis, do you think committing suicide should be a criminal offense?
Well, I mean, for individuals who end up committing suicide, what they really need prior to their committing suicide is help. Help that is readily available, help that can be given by mental health professionals, help that can be given by other trained professionals to help individuals to overcome whatever difficulties they may be going through at a particular time. And so criminalizing suicide, I mean, will make it difficult for family members, for example, to report such when incidences like that happen. And we think that what we should look out for more is putting in place checkmates, things that can help to prevent individuals from committing this deliberate self-harm with a fatal outcome.
Now, let me take you back to the issue of gruesome murders. What would you say is the major factor in these senseless killings? People just waking up and then this craze and thirst for bloodletting. Could that also be a psychiatric problem in nature?
Well, like I said, those events, those incidences are multifactorial in nature. I mean, we need to get those individuals assessed to be able to say specifically if it is due to specific psychiatric disorder or if other factors are to blame. Several other factors could be responsible for such gruesome murder. But I mean, my own sphere of activity relates to assessing those individuals' mental states at those times. I mean, assessing their personality to be sure, I mean, there are not things in that sphere that is contributory to these incidences. I mean, we've had cases like that in which such individuals, after they are assessed, may have one form of psychological disturbance or another.
Now, a recent scenario played out in Lagos where you have a seemingly well-to-do doctor, instructing his driver to park the car on the Third Mainland Bridge after receiving a call, and then he dashed out of the car. And before the driver could say Jack Robinson, He was over the rails of the bridge and into the lagoon. It took a search and serious efforts by security operatives and other paramilitary agencies in Lagos to eventually find the body. Can you take us through what could have happened as a psychologist or as a psychiatrist if you were to look at that issue, if you were called upon by the security agencies to join in the investigation to unravel the causes, to unravel the mystery behind such a case?
I mean, usually what we do in situations like that is to try and get a very detailed history. I mean, detailed history from the driver, for example, about events that happened just before that. Detailed history from family members of the doctors or whoever the doctor is living with to find out about his activities in the last 2 weeks. It's possible in his own case there might be some social circumstances, that might be responsible for his deciding to commit that. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, one of the very commonest pathway to committing suicide, which might happen in individuals such as Dr. Orwell, is hopelessness. I mean, he may have just considered all the social circumstances surrounding him at the time, or even medical circumstances surrounding him at the time, or even psychological circumstances, and feel, oh no, there's nothing else to do but to end it all up. And that's where vigilance on the part of family members play a role now. I mean, in wanting to be sure that once they notice, I mean, something's happening to their wards or members of their family, they promptly seek help. Seek help from psychiatrists, seek help from psychologists, and other counselors that can help in providing support to such individuals at such times. But like I said, I mean, taking a very detailed history from the family members is very essential in situations like this.
Now, when you look at Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as a people, you find out that there's this increase in the gulf between family members. Family ties are being weakened day in, day out. Sometimes you could not, you may not even see your sister in months, or even find out how he or she is doing, that which you call a brother or a sister. So there's little emotional connection. Would you say this has affected a lot? People's psyche, people's mannerisms, people's attitude, and even actions or inactions.
I mean, that's very true. I agree with you. One of the things that have been said to be a protective factor for us in this environment is the collectivist society kind of environment that we operate, in which we have the extended family system, in which we are always there for our brothers and sisters, in which, I mean, you could always call up someone to provide help for you, and the fact that we are beginning to have this weakening in the family bondage is creating a lot of anarchy. I mean, as we find it now, the fact that we tend to communicate less now due to, I mean, the very busy kind of lifestyle we live now, and providing a hearing ear sometimes, could go a long way in helping individuals who are going through psychological disturbance to be able to overcome some of the problems. So strengthening, I mean, the family unit like we have it now would also go a long way in helping to ameliorate some of these issues that we've talked about.
Well, if you're just joining us, what we're looking at this morning is very crucial. It's very, very important for every one of us. Increase in gruesome murders and killings across the country. Some will call it mindless killings. And of course, suicide. Not only suicide attempts that have been recorded. There were 2 people that were rescued from jumping overboard into the lagoon just last week alone. But some were not lucky. And some actually jumped into the lagoon before passers-by or those sympathizers could actually grab a hold of them. That is what we're looking at this morning. We have in the studio a consultant psychiatrist, Dr. Femi Babalola from Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Aro, here in Abeokuta. We're still trying to re-establish connection with Dolapo Badmus, that is the zonal PPRO, Police Populations Officer of Zone 2 Command in Lagos. Once we do that, we would be taking her up on issues concerning how the police are going about these investigations, how they are trying to curtail the excesses of these gruesome murderers, Take a case of Port Harcourt, for example, and of course, how far they've gone with investigations and a possible prosecution of a suspect. If you want to be part of the show, you can do this in 4 different ways. You can call our studio lines at 0809-868-7344, 0909-146-9670. You can also reach us via the short code, that's the SMS platform. All you need to do is to type rock, R-O-C-K, leave a space, type your message, include your name, and send to 32120. If you're on social media, you can reach us via our social media platforms. Twitter, our Twitter handle is at RockCityFM. Just tweet us your own contributions. And of course, should we come for checkup? Just like I, for example, I go for normal general medical checkup at least once a year. I've been told I should do it twice a year, but at least once a year. But many of us don't think that we're supposed to go for psychiatric evaluation. How many times should someone subject himself to psychiatric evaluation in a year?
Well, in this climb, we do not have fixed amount of time. We advocate for individuals to come for psychiatric evaluation. But what
would you advise?
Yeah, what we say is when family members start noticing, a disorder in an individual. For example, someone will behave in a particular manner before, and all of a sudden we start noticing a change in the person's usual behavior, a change in the person's thought process, a change in the person's way of perceiving things. Then we say that at such times it is important to get a checkup. People generally feel that once you come to a place like the psychiatric hospital, Arrow, that you've completely lost it. Yes, that you are insane and you can be likened to the people on the street, but that's not the way it is. I mentioned earlier, research have shown that 1 out of every 4 or out of every 5 individuals will suffer some mental illness in their lifetime. And by mental illness, it could be something as common or as mild depression, to something as major mental disorders like schizophrenia or drug addiction, for example. And as such, we say that it would be good for such individuals to come for an assessment and get treatment, which is readily available. And now we even have individuals in the local government. We provide what we call primary health care in various primary health care centers across the states for individuals who may have major mental disorders, even common minor mental disorders very close to them.
All right, let's start with this call. Someone is actually trying to get through. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Tobi, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
I greet you. I'm Caldi calling from Augusta.
All right, Caldi, thank you for calling.
Morning. Yes, sir. Dr. Babalola, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
May God continue to help you.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Okay, I guess we lost that call from Caldi Olumide. You may have to call back, Caldi. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Tobi.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, doctor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Tunde Omalaolu. I'm calling from Abeokuta.
Yes, Tunde Omalaolu, thank you.
Yes. Now, you see, there is a saying that everybody has a level of, a degree of madness that is being exhibited in one form or the other, which give a result of, different psychological, differences. But I want to put it that you have rightly said, it's really discussed and, the root cause and the genesis of most of these causes of madness of insanity will be traced to something I want to categorize into 3. 1 is frustration, and 2, as a result of the economic, situation, that is the recession we're talking about, and 3 is the lack of fear of God. Some people are too far away from God, so you have to put in the religious aspect there. Don't let us waste time. Frustration, you see, there are some people that are not reliable when it comes to promises. That's all. I had an experience of a king area in Missouri that was owing me money, and he gave me the assurance that he's going to pay the money. That was the time I want to pay my school fees of my children. He was owing the money and some other area. Will you believe that for 5 times, just promising. If I did have other alternatives, lead to frustration. There are instances like that. Of people that rely on and they cheat you and they let you down. So if you don't have that faith and other means of survival, you will do the other way. Then the economic situation and the recession is what is like hard. I think the government and everybody in this regard should do the needful. The government is trying, but if we on our own part should not rely only on the government, there are other things we could do. There are some people washing cars, there are some people doing media jobs to survive. You don't just point to Loparai. You don't need to which is the other area, our faith in God. With God, all things are possible. Let God be, the center of our survival. I think with that, and with the faith in God, so thank you. Good morning.
All right, thank you for your contributions. Okay, let's take this one. Hello. Hello.
Tobi.
Yes, good morning.
This is Kaude calling back.
All right, Kaude, we lost your call earlier.
Yes, sir. Yes. You see, doctor, let me just go straight. You see, cases like this do happen at times, and this is not the first time, sir, that such thing like suicide or homicide or something like this would have happened. I will take you back into the days of King Saul when he was so depressed in the Bible. You see, this reveals to us that this ugly situation is not a respecter of race, sex, or what have you, but simply said, I mean, let me put it simply this morning. Do you think that music can be able to suppress anything called depression, just like it was being able to be applied to Saul then, King Saul? How much of music do you suggest for people like this? Because we can see that even the driver that took that man down along that lagoon, Third Mainland Bridge, was not even aware of this man having gone through depression before he became the driver to the doctor. But somehow we learned that the history being made by somebody that was closer to that man told us that the man was about to commit such that kind of ugly something before that one that happened on the Third Mainland Bridge. So how much of music, sir, do you think can one apply to be able to get out of this problem? And then again, sir, do you think that certain quarters normally says that there's something called betu or whatever? Do you think that one spiritual thing can even cause something like this to be able to allow for somebody to want to take his life? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coyote. To answer your question, what we advocate for individuals that are going through depressive disorder is to come in for assessment so that we can assess them, determine the severity of the depression, determine the social factors, the psychological factor, even the medical factors that might come into play in that person's disorder, and then treat the person appropriately. We do not single out music, for example, as the only solution to the person's need. What is perpetuating the depressive disorder might, for example, be something like unemployment. And if you tell an unemployed person to just go and be listening to music, that might not go a long way in solving the person's problem. So what we do is we assess the person, and then we determine the area of the person's need, and then we try to provide solution and recommendation. Sometimes what we do for such individual might just be psychological intervention, what we call talk therapy. And for some of the individuals with moderate to severe depression, we have to treat with medication. While we advocate so many other things that can help, music can help, exercises can help, but we will still want individuals to come in for assessment and then be treated properly.
All right, right about now we'll go on this short break for the national news at 10. After the national news, we will come back and continue our discussion. We've received a short notice from Dolapo Badmus. She'll be joining us immediately after the national news. And of course, Dr. Femi Babalola will still be here in the studio. Stay with us. In the meantime, you can start sending your messages to 32120. All right, you're welcome back. You're still citizens of Forum on the Daybreak Show. This beautiful Thursday morning, the 30th of March 2017. We're still looking at the increase in gruesome murders and killings across the country, and of course, increase in suicide, and of course, suicide attempts by some Nigerians, which many issues, reasons have been raised, and of course, many are saying that this could be responsible for this increase. We still have in the studio Dr. Femi Babalola, a consultant psychiatrist of the Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Aro. Bear with her. Joining us now via phone is the Zonal Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Police Force, Zone 2, SP, Dolapo Badmus. You're welcome to Rock City FM, SP.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to be with you here.
Yes, nice to have you. Now, SP, would you please tell us the level of investigations as regards the recent case of the doctor who committed suicide by jumping into the lagoon on Fort Millen Bridge?
Yeah, we were all agog. The year was agog with the news of the doctor that jumped into the lagoon sometime back, and the Nigerian Police Force mobilized a marine department to look for the body, and eventually after 3 days the body was discovered. But while that was on, when the search was on, the police went into investigation, and then we started asking questions because we want to know what might have led to that willingly jumping into a lagoon. And then we discovered a lot of things that might preempt, but above it all, we think it's a matter of frustration, we want to believe. And we interviewed the driver who said he just left the mother, not quite long, and then they were to go for a meeting. And then getting to the Third Mainland Bridge, he said the driver should park. And then the driver told him, like, "Sir, we are rushing to a meeting. You already told me you're late." Well, he just said, "No, you should park." And then before you knew it, he went into the lagoon. And then the investigation was on, and we discovered it's out of frustration that made him. And then you saw immediately after that about 3 other people attempted to do same,
Yes.
but were quickly rescued. But above it all, under the law, it's only an attempt to commit suicide that is criminal. If you have committed it, then there is no more case. So in this of the doctor, I think there is no more case because he has actually died.
Now, SP, one disturbing report came in also from Lagos of a mother and 3 of her children gruesomely killed. What exactly is the status of that case, and how far have you gone with investigations?
Well, that is being committed to Lagos State Command to investigate, and we are waiting the report, and as soon as the report is ready, we will let you know.
All right, now let me take you back to a report made by, of course, the Lagos Command of the Nigerian Police in 2016, precisely in December, when they disclosed that about 246 persons were murdered. And of course, about 486 armed robbery suspects were arrested, 542 vehicles were stolen. About a month later, and a report was also released which indicated that Lagos State had recorded about 7.8% increase in crime rate. What would you consider as the factors responsible for this? If you also look at the fact that this case of suicide attempts and suicide that were eventually committed were all in Lagos.
Well, you know, Lagos is a cosmopolitan state.
Yes.
And it's just like you're talking about US, you're talking about New York. I think if you try New York statistics, also you will see that their level of crime and criminality will be higher than any other state. And so that is expected of Lagos because Lagos is a cosmopolitan state. And you have all manner of people living all of these events. And I think the police is doing well. You know, the Lagos State Command, under the supervision of the zone, is doing a lot, I can tell you, to ensure that crime rate actually reduce. And, you know, last year, December, you can see they worked all hands to ensure that there was safety of lives and property. And then, like every other person is moving back to business activity in the new year, I think the criminals are also moving back to business activities. But looking at what Lagos State Command have on ground with the support of the Lagos State government, I'm optimistic they will be able to break even any criminality, and they will be able to prevent anyone. And coming back to the suicide attempt, you will see the people interviewed so far, they have one or two ways of often their frustration. They can tell you, like the particular woman who is a textile dealer said she's been duped of about 12.8 million or thereabout. That figure I can't confirm right now, but I think she was duped about a lot of millions, and she wanted to end it all. And because people don't, you know, seek counseling, people don't, you know, a lot of people are into depression right now, but because, you know, they don't seek counseling, and people around them don't tend to understand when frustration or depression are setting. And then they want to end it all because they feel nobody is listening to them. And I'm glad you have a psychiatric doctor in there with you who should also be able to, you know, talk to members of the public, because people believe that psychiatric doctors are for mentally derailed people. But I also believe they can do a lot of, you know, a lot of, like, you want to counsel people, you want to be in the, you know, you want to enter their problem with them, you want to be on the same page with them and bring them out of it. I believe the psychiatric doctor can do that, also the psychologist, also the guardian and counselors, you know, supposed to be, all those departments supposed to be activated right now, because I think people need help, and even people around them don't understand all of it, you know, when a lot of people have been saying the doctor that died just came back from church. I don't know how far that is true, but the investigation revealed to us that he might have attended church, but he just left the mother's place to move. But I want to believe this. There are counselors in the church, there are counselors in the mosque, there are counselors everywhere, you know. People can talk to them, and then they get relief. You know, people just need a reassurance. And when they are not getting the reassurance, they want to end it up. And now the police is putting a searchlight, especially on Third Mainland Bridge. And that is why, since the incident of the doctor happened, we put in a searchlight, and that's why we've been able to rescue 3 others who will have also committed that. And for now, we will continue to do that. And I want to also tell you that some people might decide not to come to the Third Mainland. We've seen people end it all by taking snipers. We've seen people end it all by, you know, handing themselves to death. So does it mean we are going to be posting police inside each and everyone's room? So I think the member of the public has to rise up and help each other right now. The families should pay attention to anyone complaining. Friends should pay attention. Co-workers should pay attention. And I believe we'll be better from this. Thank you.
SP Badmus, Section 327 of the Criminal Code makes attempted suicide a criminal offense, and the hapless victim risks imprisonment for 1 year. Psychologists like the consultant psychiatrist in the studio believe that this shouldn't be so, that someone who attempts to take his life should be given much love, more medical attention and the likes. What's your take on this? That's the first leg of the question. The second leg is that, are you planning to prosecute this this woman and the other person who attempted suicide?
The law spoke it, and we are not, the police are not the lawmakers. I believe the law as a draftsman, and then I believe the National Assembly must have sat on that and find it pertinent to make it a criminal offense. And of course, that will serve as a deterrent because you know if you attempt it and then you didn't achieve it, you will be punished for it. Suicide is the only criminal act that if you do it, you might not be punished. But attempted suicide, you will have to face the law. But we are not wishing it away that people need counseling. I've spoken about that. I've advocated for that. But you know, even inside the prisons, there are moments that people are cancelled. There are moments that people are even given a leeway of how to live life. So if the law stipulates it, and if they find them doing that, we're not going to throw away the law. The law will take care of every offense.
All right, thank you very much, SP Badmus, for joining us on the show this morning. We appreciate your contributions.
The pleasure is mine.
All right, have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Babalola, you heard the Zonal Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Police, Zone 2. What are your reactions?
Well, one of the major factors that predicts if one will complete a suicide is a previous history of attempting suicide. And if someone have attempted suicide before, I mean, that speaks to the fact that what the person really needs is help. Help in terms of psychological help, help in terms of providing care for such an individual, because the risk that the person will eventually complete suicide is really very high. Like I said earlier, criminalizing it, I mean, will just make the matters worse. It won't prevent the person from going back to complete the suicide someday. What will help the person is getting an assessment and getting the needed help to be able to go through and cope with the challenges the individual is facing at that time. And like she said, I also think at this point that to be good for us to enjoin family members, members of the public, religious organization, I mean, to pay a lot more attention to individuals that are going through challenging situations and to refer them appropriately. Now, not all forms of depression would be taken care of just by counseling, just by talking to the person. Some form of depression would definitely need medication, and it is important for such individuals to get those medications they need so that they can successfully overcome. I mean, depression can be treated and individuals can get well completely.
All right, we'll throw the studio lines open once again so that you can also ask questions or be part of the discussion this morning. 0809-868-7344, 0909-146-9670. You can also reach us via the short code 32120. Just type rock, leave a space, type your message, include your name, and forward it to 32120. Our social media platforms are also available. Twitter, our Twitter handle is at RockCityFM, and our Facebook fan page remains RockCityFM 11.9. You can also stream live wherever you are, www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. All right, let's have this call. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
I am Mr. Olakilani.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, in the house. I say, people don't help the matter. You see, a frustrated, aggressive person case is further complicated by neighbor, by our employers of labor. They don't show love to their employees. All this compounded together leads to frustration, which at the end leads to suicide attempt or suicide. I ask you, what do you think should be the role of government in this case to curb suicide attempt? Bye.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kelani. That's
Hello, Tobi. Good morning.
Hello.
Doctor, good morning.
Okay, good morning. Who's on the line?
Yes, Olusola Johnson. My advice is, it's not possible for the psychiatric hospital here in Abeokuta, Kano, Lagos, everywhere in Nigeria to intensify a public campaign, bringing out handbills, telling people that that psychiatric hospital is not meant for mentally derailed people only. That people should come out, those who have one social problem or the other, to come out and seek counseling in that case. And then more of counseling centers also should be open very close to the people so that people could be counseled very, very well. Because we have phobia for going to that place. Can the hospital do something about it? Good morning.
All right, thank you. You want to quickly react to? We have a call already? Okay, sorry. Let's take this call and then you react. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Tobi.
Good morning.
Good morning, the consultant in the house.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Unkom. I hope Tobi you can hear me very well.
Yes, clearly.
Yes. Tobi, my own is on murder and assassinations. And we are asking, why are you having too much of it now? And my own answer, sincere as a common man in the street, is that if something is lucrative, if something is not punishable, if after committing an offense you are punished 20 years after, then you can't link it up. We can't link it up. Look at what happened to Cynthia, that girl who was drugged. That was 5 years ago. I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what happened. They have forgotten what happened. So those guys who committed it, even if you deal with them now, it doesn't link. We outside, public, will not link it that is wrong. Two is that we are not emphasizing capital punishment. I believe in capital punishment. And until we do it, people say in America, they are not doing this. Oh, no, in America, Britain is not doing that. This is Nigeria. This is Nigeria, and we're not doing enough. If people are shot, if people are hanged.
Hello. Hello. Oh, I think that's the network
Hello?
problem.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah, Dr. Uncle.
Yes, can I continue?
Yes.
Yes, I'm saying that if we have a lot of these hangings and people being shot, then it will reduce. A pastor, a bishop normally comes to this rock city and says, I used to kill pregnant women, remove their baby, now I've seen God, and I was in prison for 2 years, they removed me, God. When you start talking like that?
Hello.
I believe that bishop is supposed to have been shot.
Hello. Okay, I guess Dr. Uncle has made his points. Okay, let's take your reaction, Dr. Babalola.
I'll start with the question about what we are doing as an institution. I mean, we are doing a whole lot of advocacy, talking to members of the public. I mean, we feature radio programs like this. We have handbills telling people that, I mean, they could come into the hospital for help. It's not just everyone that come for help that has major mental disorder. People can just walk in for help and be willing to provide that. I mean, that's what big psychiatric hospitals like ours are doing. And then we have, like I mentioned earlier, facilities for providing care in the community. We have trained nurses and also trained psychiatrists and psychologists that are in the various local government areas, and they provide care for people with mental health difficulties. And then when we talk about the workplace, I mean, it is important for places of work to have put in place things they can do to help employees they manage their stress. I mean, if they have stress workshops, seminars for individuals that work with them, this will go a long way in helping to ameliorate some of the stress and some of the frustration that these individuals may have. On the part of the government, I mean, like we mentioned earlier in this program, there are a lot of social determinants that affect our mental health. Things like providing employment, providing good health facilities, good roads, good housing. All those are measures, I mean, good economic policies to help individuals, maybe who want to start their own business. You know, policies like that will go a long way in helping individuals to have very good mental health and promoting individuals' mental health. And it will go a long way also in helping them to deal with situations in their lives that will lead to depression or that might precipitate suicidal thoughts or ideas of these individuals.
All right, let's add these messages to the questions and issues raised. This one says, Any member that calls attention of wrongdoings in the house, okay, this and this much later, has nothing to what we're discussing now. Uh, is it not a person that has money that will come for assessment because it is because he has the money that he's depressed? Wumi, Wumi from Fajol is talking about medical attention or psychiatric evaluation. Social stress, tension, greed, illusion, false living, etc. can trigger psychological imbalance in people who should seek mentoring and counseling services for disillusionment. That's coming from Cosmos. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, I agree with Cosmos on that. And like I mentioned, I mean, the fact about those that have money coming in for assessments, like I said, we have individuals and the very close to members of the public in the primary healthcare center that are trained to provide such assessment. Primary healthcare centers are closer to the people, and you could just walk into this primary healthcare center and make a complaint to them.
All right, Abdurrashid Akala says we are now close to the evening time, said in the Holy Quran. I stand to be corrected. A lot is happening and will continue. We ignore the signs when people store more than enough dollars at home. It is not insane for someone to loot billions of dollars. Is that not madness? Let's be close to God, seek for forgiveness. And this is more than the doctor's job. If the doctor likes, he can call it kleptomania. The worst will bounce on the head of those that put this country in this mess. Okay? Uh, Rashid Dekena is bringing a whole political twist to it. Killing in Nigeria is being handled like lackadaisically, and that is why people are killing with impunity. Concerning suicide, the major cause is lack of care from the family members, friends, and frivolous activities of government officials. Depression, frustration, lack of money to take care of someone, uh, of self, of family, and dependence, and of course, stagnation could push someone to take his life. What we need is an awareness campaign to stay away from suicide attempts in view of negative impact. Above all, we need to move closer to God and renew our faith in God. We must have the fear of God, and where there is hope, life is preserved. Kenny Additional sent in that one. All right, keep your messages coming. 32120. Type rock, leave a space, type your message, include your name, and send to 32120. We're also on Twitter at RocksetFM is our Twitter handle. Hello, good morning. Hello. Yes, you're on. Yes, good morning. Hello, your name again, please. Lawson.
Single word. Lawson.
Lawson, yes. All right, go ahead.
That's my contribution this morning. Of suicide, it's been long, even look at our set of kids too. But my message this morning to our people is that you don't own house. They have such a spiritual reforming. I'm speaking from that perspective because I'm a pastor. Every person is a spirit. Whether you do good, whether you feel good, whatever that, pushes you to go and commit suicide, each has its thoughts in spirituality. Now, but the message, that we should take home is that anybody out there to have someone to speak to is very important. So we make ourselves available to people so that we can talk to them and bring them out of this mess. If we do that, we save our country from lots more to come. Thank you, and good morning.
Thank you very much. Let's take this call before you react. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Who's on the line?
This is Mr. Keshino from Rwanda.
All right, Mr. Keshino.
Yes. On the issue of suicide attempts and suicide criminality in Nigeria, I think the major cause is frustration and depression, as the guests in the studio there are said. It's high time the masses know that killing yourself is not a solution to life problem. And I think the major cause or the major causes are one, life disappointment. When people do not meet
their needs in life. People think they cannot fulfill all their goals in life. So these are the major causes. And I think apart from bringing in psychology, I think counseling psychologists are also very useful in this area. They are so very useful. You can bring them into they are teaching our university, bring them to come and educate the masses on how to solve their life problem. Apart from committing suicide, there are various ways you can seek counseling within your community, seek counseling among your friends, seek counseling in your workplaces. And I think it is high time the government legalize counseling clinics, the operation of counseling clinics in our environment. Even in overseas countries where counseling practices is very rampant. And I think the suicide rate in those countries even is higher. It's even higher than in Nigeria because we have a kind of compound family relationship here that we give ourselves advice, we counsel ourselves, but that gap is now increasing. There is gap in this situation, in this area now. That is why people are now committing suicide. And the situation of this country now is so pathetic that people are so disappointed in life. So counseling clinics, people who are professional counselors should be legalized to open counseling clinics and operate it just like medical clinics, maternity clinics are operating. So that's my suggestion.
All right, thank you. Let's start with the calls now. We want to quickly react to that.
Yes, I would want to react to Pastor Lawson's comments about spirituality. I mean, why we do not disregard an individual spirituality, and we appreciate the roles religious organizations are playing in providing counseling for individuals and in instilling hope. We also know that not all forms of depression will be taken care of by counseling. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, mild depression, mild to moderate depression, yes, counseling might be able to play a role. But once we start getting to the level where the severity is getting to moderate depression, getting to severe depression, the individual would need much more than counseling. And that's where we are advocating to religious organizations, to employers of labor to send such individuals for treatment. I mean, because what the individual need at that time is much more than counseling. The individuals will need medication that will help to treat the depression.
All right, let's quickly add these messages. This one This one is posted by Bashir Abdulaziz on our Facebook page. The problem with this issue is a loss of confidence in the betterment of this country. People believe that things will not get better and there seems no solution to their problems, so they rather give up. But people should also note that taking one's life would not be the solution to their problems. All right, Darus Emmanuel from Kotoko says, good morning to the guests in the house. Please, I have an issue that I want you to help me analyze this morning. An uncle of mine is an addicted, he's a drunkard. In fact, he was called a drunken master in our area. He became an immediate drunkard when he returned from the Agodi prisons, where he went to serve punishment for his former night activities. There was a time he felt gravely sick, and on the day of his discharge, the doctors wanted him to strictly stay away from alcohol. He got well and went on about his life. Then after a few weeks, he resumed to his drinking ways. He felt sick again, and the doctors treated him the second time. They told him the second time of discharge that is a walking, breathing miracle, meaning how he got well is a miracle, and that he won't have a third chance at life if he doesn't stay away from alcohol. But unfortunately, after 6 days, we found his lifeless body and the refuse dump inside. He died from another intake of alcohol. Please, sir, how can you help us to assess the case of this uncle of mine? That's Daros from Kotoko. Adebayo Korede Camille says, I advise any oppressed or depressed person this morning to please confide in people. When you say out what bothers you, that the solution is there. A problem shared is a problem solved. It doesn't worth it to take one's life. May God save our souls. I want to quickly react to this, Dr. Babalola.
Yes, I mean, talking about Dara's uncle, I'm sorry about your uncle's demise. The issue of drug addiction or drug dependence, like we call it in clinical setting, is one that we give a lot of attention to at the neuropsychiatric hospital. I mean, we have 2 wards where we treat individuals with addiction problems, and we have specialists there, psychiatrists, psychologists, and counselors that provide counseling and treatment for alcohol dependence. The problem individuals have, I mean, generally in the public, is they don't see addiction as a primary brain disorder that is treatable. I mean, they see it as like an habit that individuals can overcome at a particular point in their lives. But once individual gets to the point of having alcohol addiction or drug addiction, they need professional help to be able to treat those substance addiction so that they can overcome the addiction to those substances. And we have trained individuals, trained personnel all over the country that can provide such needed treatment. And like we did mention earlier, one of also the cause that could lead individuals to committing suicide is alcohol and drug addiction.
All right, let's add these messages before we go to the calls once again. This one says, good morning. The situation in Nigeria today has made us all psychiatric patients. See what's happening at the National Assembly. I think we should all be made to undergo psychiatric test occasionally. Ladoshu sent in that one. Danny Johnson says, okay, Danny Johnson, thank you for your message. We've oftentimes discouraged people from commenting on other people's comments on radio. I think that is one thing we all need to imbibe. Most suicide attempts is due largely to economic downturn in the country. Most employers of labor are also contributors to the government. The government are not left out, where employee retires for more than 4 years without paying them entitlement. Okay, still economic factor. Akimaba says Senate versus executives were about distraction tactics. No one is asking about a faceless and voiceless president again. 2015 to 2017 is wasted years in the history of Nigeria. Okay, Akiwaba's opinion. Good morning. The guest in the studio. Causes of depression in this present in Nigeria is recession. That's Wumi from John. Dr. Ola, are you not baffled that people's summary or people's conclusion is that those who attempted suicide or those who have actually committed suicide are all doing this for reasons we have tagged economic recession or economic downturn?
Well, like I said earlier, it's much more than economic recession. I mean, you have individuals who have some personality disorders, yes. Individuals with drug and alcohol addiction, individuals with other psychiatric disturbances can also commit suicide. We talked earlier about the fact that you can divide the causes of suicide into, 3 major bullets. One would be things like medical conditions, another would be psychological conditions, and then the third would be the social conditions. Psychological disturbance would be where you have things like depression and the rest of them, while social factors will be where economic recession, unemployment, poor housing, poverty, and the rest of them will come in. We are getting more of this now because, with unemployment, it's difficult for individuals who maybe have depression to get medication to treat the depression. Individuals get involved in a lot of schemes that when such schemes fail, it will lead them to frustration. And then we have individuals who have committed so much money to businesses, and when events happen that didn't go their way, it will also lead to that. So, economic recession at this time is just like the icing on the cake that is bringing about what we are saying now.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Tobi. Good morning, our guest in the house.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Honorable Larije. I'm calling from the People's Parliament in Abeokuta. I just want to
make one or two observations that, depression normally comes from, when you have a situation where, things are not, working very well the way you wanted it to be, and probably lack of money, lost wife, divorce, and things like that. And I just want to appeal to the government that government needs to really put a enabling environment for Nigerians to try. In case you want to go into business, you want to do for job or whatever, they must compulsorily give Nigerians an enabling environment to be able to live a very good life. In most cases, some could be spiritual, some could be, a family problem and things like that. But the best thing that I will advise Nigerians, let us continue to be very hopeful. Let us continue to be hardworking. Let us continue to be very prayerful. And in the case of God, things will work on very well for us. We don't need to commit suicide and take our life. Good morning, Happy President Day. God bless Nigeria.
All right, God bless you too. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Hello, yes, you are. Hello, yes, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. This is Alaji, this is Jennika from Abeokuta.
Thank you for calling.
I think for me, as a sociologist and anthropologist, as was said, and the training has really shown that there's a complete breakdown of values and institutions in this country. And those institutions that are supposed to control people, to advise people, and to handle any situation that comes up. And the breakdown is the result of what we are seeing now. There's a lot that those institutions can do, like the family, like the government, like some other things that, in the olden days, few of the things that we saw as abomination and things that people do now. And when people do them now, it really destabilizing the mental balance of everybody. And I think the coping practice of individuals also differ. I appreciate the consultants and therapists that is here that really talk to us. And I think in this country, most of us have that mind to believe that people should change in this country. And for me, I believe that what is permanent in everything and hard times do not last. Really hard people do. And I think we shall always witness the better times to come. Because these are really bad, and we hope that will be better times for the people. And the government has to go through.
Okay, thank you very much. That'll be the last call we'll be able to accommodate. Let us quickly add this tweets, and then we allow Dr. Lola to have his part in short. Yemi Da Vinci says criminalizing suicide is illogical. We really need a lot of law reforms in this country. Okay, Akorede Camille says these are pertinent issues that our lawmakers should be discussing instead of their melodrama in the Senate. That law that says a depressed person attempting suicide should be prosecuted needs to be reviewed. What such person needs is care. Yemi Da Vinci once again says, please, I think we need to really hammer on religious bodies saying depression is an evil spirit. Pastors and imams need help too. People saying economy is the only thing making people depressed are ignorant. Very rich people are depressed too. Well, Yemi Da Vinci, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You don't have to label them as ignorant. Please take note. All right, thank you for your tweet. Your part in short, Dr. Babalola.
So we want to say that depression is treatable. We want to enjoin families, enjoin the public, employers of labor, religious organization, and others to help people get help that they need in treating depression. We also know the role the government has to play in this. Providing very good environments in terms of social facilities, employment, good roads, housing, good healthcare facilities to help individuals. And like I mentioned earlier, not all forms of depression would go with just counseling. Some would need medication. And the earlier one get to seek the help of experts in these aspects, the better. And facilities such as the neuropsychiatric hospital, are not just for those who are mad. individuals can walk in for an assessment, individuals can walk in to get help they need, especially when they are going through difficult times. And we want to be there for ourselves. We want to find out how members of our family are doing, how our friends are doing, and then see how they are coping with the challenges of life. I mean, being a good neighbor, essentially, all this will go a long way in helping to stem the tide of suicide we are having now and help individuals who are going through one depressive disorder or another to be able to cope.
Thank you very much, Dr. Babalola, for honoring your invitation this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Tobi.
It's also wonderful having your contributions, our esteemed listeners and participants of the show, those who called, those who sent messages, those who tweeted, and those who posted comments on our Facebook page. Join us again tomorrow for the open edition of the show. I am Tobi Joseph. Have a wonderful Thursday.